Cancer does not discriminate. Age, race, gender, and social status doesn't matter when it comes to those afflicted with cancer. It's a disease that we know is out there, but often think it can't happen to us until it does. And while each person fighting cancer goes through trials and tribulations, their stories are all different. In this episode of My Story, we share a cancer warrior's fight. Hafaday, and welcome back to My Story. Today joining us is Seth Evangelista, who shares her story as a cancer warrior. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hafaday Sidusmasi, thank you for allowing me to share my story.
Can you share with us, when did you first become diagnosed with cancer, and what type of cancer were you diagnosed with?
I was diagnosed with follicular lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and that was in August of 2017.
Now you have a kind of peculiar story in how you found out. Can you share with us what that story is?
Sure. I got hit by a softball. So after getting hit by a softball, of course, with trauma, there's some swelling. I got hit by a softball right here. Oh. So with the swelling, it was there. And you know, after the norm let it ride out and stuff, it didn't want to go away. The swelling continued, and then it also started to spread. And so I went and I saw my doctor. Mm-hmm. And the moment he saw it, he said, "It's not from the ball." And so, you know, the only logical explanation I had then is that if it's not from the ball, what is it? Because the only thing I remember is getting hit by a ball. Mm-hmm. And so from there, they were monitoring it. Mm-hmm. And so I was going in maybe a lot more than I wanted to. Mm-hmm. Never mentioned the word cancer. And so I was just going in thinking they were going to drain and do all this thing. And so from my physician, my private care provider, I was referred to an ENT specialist. And then from there, you know, they ran some tests and stuff, but nothing was conclusive. Mm-hmm. And again, there was no mention of cancer. So I guess the tests were just to try and rule out whatever there is. Again, cancer was never mentioned. And so shortly before I got hit, my daughter found a lump. Mm-hmm. And the only way you could have detected or felt the lump was, of course, she was massaging mommy. And she found a lump right about here. Again, you know, not thinking anything of it. And so went in, and as the swelling continued, despite some of the tests they ran here, it was starting to affect my ear. Mm-hmm. Because the swelling was from here, from the ball, kept growing and growing until it kind of like got above my ear. Mm-hmm. And then it started to hurt, of course. Mm-hmm. And then from there, my doctor decided that it was time to go for surgery. And so I went. I got to Hawaii, went to Tripler, and I'd say a total of about a week and a half, 2 weeks, from beginning to when I got the news. And so I went there, prepped for surgery. Rather than performing the surgery here on my face, they decided that they'll try and see if they can learn anything from the lump that was here. They removed it and, of course, conducted the biopsy. From there, I went through a PET scan. Mm-hmm. And, you know, if until you are diagnosed, you have the diagnosis, you're not going to know what a PET scan is. To me, I thought it was just a regular CT scan and all that good stuff. Well, anyways, I went through that, and then I met with my oncologist, and then from there, she told me. And I guess, you know, for doctors, they're placed in a very awkward position as the deliverer, if you will, of the diagnosis, as much as the receiver is. And so, you know, she just, there's no easy way, I guess, to be told. And she was like, we got your results, and you are positive for follicular lymphoma specifically, and otherwise it's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And of course, unfortunately, when she said that to me, nothing made any sense. I was blank. The only thing I could remember was seeing her lips move, but I didn't hear anything. My husband and my daughter were with me, and what do you do? You know, there's nothing you can say or do at the moment. And so I guess there was a time when I snapped out of it. And by the time I did, she was mentioning that I had to start chemo right away. And so, you know, and she asked me, what did I think? And I looked at her and I said, well, gee, you just told me I have cancer. The rest of my life is not mine, you know, like I know it. How do you want me to respond to that? And so from there, she said that, of course, I had to go through chemo. And they'd like to start. This is in Hawaii. And despite having my mom, my children, and my husband, I wasn't comfortable so much with the idea of my treatment being away from home. And so she gave us time to think about it. I spoke to my husband, and you know, he was very supportive. To date, he's very supportive. And I told him that I didn't want to do it away from my family. And my sisters were here, and so was my brother. So as small of a family as I have, I wanted to be with them. So Doc had to try and get in touch with my doctor here. My diagnosis was on Guam. It was Liberation Day 2017. And I hold that near and dear. And for those who know me, they just know how important Liberation Day is for me. But of course, that was the day I was diagnosed. And so my doctor, of course, had to try to get in touch with my doctor here, try to set me up with an oncologist because, you know, Naval Hospital does not have that. And so it took, again, extra days. And I'm very blessed that that the ENT, who has since retired, he kept in contact with me as soon as he found out the diagnosis. So he was calling me and stuff. And then finally, my doctor decided, after sharing with her that I didn't want to do chemo there, she said it was fine. She got in touch with my doctor here at Naval Hospital, and then they found an oncologist for me so that I can come home. And so she wanted to start it there and have my doctor here continue, but I wasn't comfortable with that, you know, having somebody start and then somebody else end it. And so came home. I like to say we arrived on a Monday late afternoon. By, I'd say Wednesday, Thursday, the following week, I started treatment, chemotherapy. It was interesting. It was scary, you know?
Bet.
Yeah.
I bet. So it was about 5 months from the time you got hit by the ball
Yes.
to the diagnosis.
Yes.
And not only did it disrupt your life, your daily life, but can you share with us how it impacted you and your family? Just getting that word.
The C word, you mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
the C word.
Yeah, the C word. Well, you know, when I was told, of course, my life is never going to be what I know it used to be. Even to date, you know, it was almost like a sentence. And of course, second to my husband, my mom. I had to tell my mom. And so that was, of course, a challenge in and of itself. And so I told Mama. And then from there, she was like all for whatever we need to do and stuff. But other than that, it's like, I like to say we grew closer. We're a close family, but it brought us even closer. And despite the chemotherapy, my family was just as much medicine for me, you know, as that chemo. And so, yeah, everything has changed. Nothing is the same. And everything that I know of today, I can't say would have been the same had I not been diagnosed with cancer. Because life has changed, you know. What Mommy used to do, I can't do. What Mommy wants to do, I can't. And then my daughter always has to step in and play Mommy for my baby, because it's either maltreatment or suffering from that prevents me from going and attending the regular Mommy things I used to do. So yeah, that's how it has affected my family. And being present at family events and stuff, even with work, I can't. Nothing is the same.
How did you get past that initial shock and depression, if that was a factor in it? How did you get past all of that and gain strength to to fight cancer?
Primarily my children. And then I think where I get my strength from is I have a child with a disability. She's born with Downs. And fighting cancer or trying to survive this disease, if I compare to my daughter, it's nothing compared to what she has to go through. Every day she fights, every day. And that's just to be within society. And then aside from her medical challenges, but she always tells me, Mommy, kick butt, you know? So how can I not get strength from that? And of course, I worry a lot about all three of them. And who's gonna take care of them if Mommy's not here, you know? So I have to. And then, yeah, so she always reminds me why I have to continue this fight. And I continue.
How many children do you have?
I have 3 awesome girls.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And how have they? How did your family take the news?
It was, of course, a shocker, but it was, I think they hid their true feelings and stuff like that to be strong. Their strength showed more than their weakness. And, you know, they were always there, very patient, and I could never be more grateful because every day, you have good days and bad days, and I'm sure you guys have heard that several times, good days and bad days, and a lot of times it's bad, it's, you know, and, but they never give up, you know, they still don't give up. And my daughter, Sissy, my ride or die partner, she too, she has, the sacrifices she made has given me the strength and courage more. She started her career. She wanted to go to college. She stopped all that because of my diagnosis. And, sorry, the sacrifices she made says a lot, you know? So how can I show my daughter I'm weak when she had put her life on hold to make sure Mommy gets through this and to make sure her sisters are okay and her dad and grandma. So, yeah, you know, my family support, I always say, people ask me, how do I do it? And I say, if you look behind me, you see God's got my back. But it's as much as the support, the love and support that I get from my family and my friends, you know, that makes it difficult for me to want to give up.
And that's wonderful.
Well, don't go anywhere. After the break, we'll be back with more with Miss Evangelista and her story.
Welcome back to My Story. Once again, we are speaking with Miss Seth Evangelista. And earlier we were talking about how you found out and that you also have completed your final round of chemotherapy, right? Now,
Yes.
Chemotherapy for many is a scary, scary thing, and it's a difficult procedure to have to undergo. Can you share with us your experiences with chemotherapy?
Okay, yes, so first things, to reiterate, I did have my last round of chemotherapy December 2nd. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you all for your support, prayers, and thoughts. But yeah, going through chemo, first things first is, you know, they give you your cocktail beforehand, and then your cocktail pills beforehand. So oftentimes, I'm like asleep through chemo. But I remember very well as they connected, you know, to chemo and stuff. It was pretty hot, very hot, yeah. And it was scary. You know, I had this thing going in me. I didn't know how to explain it. It was really hot. Although they, you know, my doctor did mention that I will probably feel something like that. But when you finally experience it, it's like surreal, you know, what's going on and stuff. So it was really hot, scary. I felt other things other than the heat sensation and stuff. But although I went through that, it was nice to know that later on that evening, we noticed the swelling start to go down. And so, you know, despite what it has done, you know, to me to make me feel everything I don't like, I'm also grateful, you know, in the same token that it did what it did. And I'm grateful, of course, to my doctors for identifying what it, you know, what is required and stuff, what type of chemo and things. But nevertheless, I'm grateful, and it's gone. So hopefully, my next step is another PET scan, another round of PET scan, and with God's blessings, I will continue my life cancer-free. Yes.
How many treatments have you gone through?
I started chemo in August of 2017, and I just ended chemo December 2nd, 2019. So 2 years and 4 months to be exact.
Is it like a weekly thing, a monthly thing?
And
How
for the
often?
first 6 months, it was 2 days every 3 weeks, and then after that, it became every 8 weeks of treatment. Yeah.
Wow. I know that with chemotherapy, there are many side effects that come along with it, from nausea to not wanting to eat to other symptoms. Were there any symptoms that you experienced that you just felt like, gosh, can I
be normal?
Yes. can I, you know, can
Although-
I survive this?
Yes, although you know, I'm not one who likes to use the term normal, but at least for me, and I speak personally, I know what my normal used to be like, and that was being able to eat and do everything right. But with chemotherapy, like most people, the taste, you know. So imagine drinking water, and the only thing you can taste is everything bitter, you know. So I've had challenges of that. I've had challenges. A lot of it was eating. There were things that I had to do to try to, I guess, mask the taste so that I can try to eat. Many times I'd say I want to eat one thing, and when it's ready, I don't want it because it just doesn't taste right. A lot of times I'd rather not eat because of the challenges of trying to taste what I'm eating. Physically, it has really decreased my physical ability. Again, softball. You know, I enjoy softball. I enjoy a lot of things physically, but with that, it's no longer what it used to be. Even the simple chores that you and I do, cleaning the house, fixing, you know, turning our beds and stuff, that's a challenge for me now. Yeah, my bones hurt, you know. So my bones hurt. I'm so limited with what I could do physically. The eating, I still have that challenge to date. You know, it's hard for me to eat, and trust me, I love food. Drinking too, like water, coffee. I enjoy Mr. Brown, but even that becomes a challenge, you know. And that's all I can, chemo, you know, that's chemo for me. And so, yeah, it's all that. But more importantly, what I miss the most is my physical ability to do what I used to do. Yeah.
Now, going through this whole long road to stomping out cancer, you've had, like you mentioned, your family support, and right now you're wearing a shirt, right?
Yes.
That can you share with us what this shirt symbolizes for you and your fight?
Well, you know, just like the support I get from my family, my children primarily, friends and everyone, of course the love. There's not a thing, there's not a disease or anything in this world that love cannot conquer. And you know, the courage I get from my children, and especially Princess, the one with Down syndrome. And then of course my faith in God and in humanity, believe it or not. I do have some faith there. And you know, all that combined gives me hope that maybe one day I will be okay to go back to being mommy, go back to being Seth the way I used to be. And hope that, you know, if I can take it, if I can keep it to prevent one child or anybody else from having to hear that diagnosis, then you know what? I'll keep it. And I just hope that, no one ever has to go through it. There's nothing that is to be taken lightly when it comes to cancer, And I just pray, that with God's blessings, I could eliminate someone or people from having to hear that devastating diagnosis. It really, really sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if that's proper, but
No.
that's okay.
You're fine. You mentioned having courage, and a lot of people are often not wanting to know, right? They may find something that maybe needs to be checked out, but they have a fear in knowing. What would you say to those who may have cancer
concern.
or any concerns, but are too scared to see the doctor?
Well, I guess, the lesson we all, or the common thing that we hear is never take this for granted, don't take that for granted. I see my doctor regularly, but maybe even I took that for granted, Although it's a life-changing diagnosis, I really encourage you, if there's a way where you can go out there and get checked. And ladies, it started with a lump. So unfortunately, there are other places where we can look out for lumps that can send out some, a sign or even a marker for us to start. It's never easy, and it's not easy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's easy. The diagnosis and to hear it changes your life forever. But if you can, at least check yourself and go to the doctor. Of course, it's not nice, it's not fun, but especially if you have children and you have family and you have that supportive family behind you, there's nothing to lose, Yeah, so we may lose our hair, but guess what? It's gonna grow back 3 times what we lost, So I would say that just to go and just, if you believe, then you too we shall overcome this disease, And that's...
Now, you've had a great support system. And is there anything you'd like to say to your support system for standing by your side these last 2 years while you've endured and battled cancer and kicking it in the butt?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, I give all the graces to God, and I thank Him for the strength and stuff. I often say that when people say, you don't look like you have cancer, I say, what's cancer look like? And I say, if you look behind me, God's got my back. And before me is my family, my friends, and all the folks, for their thoughts and prayers. And of course, with that, my husband, thank you so much for not giving up on me. And to my children, Sissy, thank you, baby, for being mommy when you didn't have to. But thank you anyways. Of course, to my mommy, thank you for showing me and reminding me what unconditional love is like, and that role of mommy. To my sisters, Kat, thank you for your sacrifices. And to everybody out there, and to my brother, thank you for dealing with me, my roller coaster of emotions and stuff. My sister Fina, thank you. To my family, of course, and to my friends. Of course, I have to extend a danklu na sa Diyos maasi to my GWA family. I love you all more than you know, and I'm just as grateful to for all your love and support. And my cousin Julie, although it was my fight, sister, thank you for being by me. She was there for the first chemo. We both ended chemo on December 2nd. I could never, my daughter, see, you'll never know how much I'm grateful for you, baby. Thank you for your sacrifices, your career and everything, for putting that on hold to help mommy. Thank you. You never know how grateful I am. And to the rest of you, to my brothers and sisters also suffering from this disease, Thank you so much. I love you all. I keep you all in my prayers. Whether I know you or not, we're in this together. And to the rest of you, God bless. Count your blessings. Enjoy life on your terms. But please keep us all in your prayers.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Well, that's all for today. Keep it tuned to My Story as we continue to share
Cancer survivors
and those who continue to kick cancer in the butt.
Si Deus mais.